Imagine typing 3 simple words into your computer, like just summarize my inbox, and then taking your hands completely off the keyboard.
Yeah, just sitting back and watching.
Exactly. You watch your cursor, and it seems to just move on its own, right? It opens your email, it reads a message from a client asking for a project update, and then it minimizes the window
All by itself.
all by itself.
Yeah.
Then it searches your hard drive for those rough meeting notes you took last Tuesday, reads them, drafts a customized proposal, generates a live payment link, embeds it, and hits send.
And you didn't touch the mouse once.
Not even once. And that right there, that is the fundamental difference between an AI chatbot and an AI agent.
It really is a complete operational shift. I mean, we're moving away from treating AI like this sophisticated encyclopedia where you type a question and get a paragraph back.
Right.
And we're moving toward treating it like an actual autonomous digital workforce.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to map out exactly how this transition works for you. We're pulling from this incredibly detailed masterclass video on building AI agents.
Yeah, the one hosted by Greg Eisenberg featuring Remy Gassil doing the technical breakdown.
Yes, exactly. And the goal here is to demystify how these localized, highly personalized agents are built. Because the people who are actually implementing this right now, they are quite literally multiplying their daily output by like a factor of 10 or 20.
Oh, easily. Because, I mean, the standard experience most people have with AI right now is just this frustrating, never-ending ping-pong match.
Ugh, yes. You know that feeling when you ask an AI to help you with a task, but you have to babysit it so much?
Right. You hit a prompt over the net, the AI hits back this, like, half-baked answer.
And then you find the mistake, you correct it, it apologizes for the mistake.
I always apologize.
Always. And it gives you something slightly better, and you just keep rallying until you eventually give up and do half the work yourself anyway.
Exactly. Using a standard chatbot is essentially like handing a list of instructions to a chef who is blindfolded and has no taste buds.
That is a great way to put it.
Right. Like they mix the ingredients once, exactly as you wrote them, put it in a bowl and hand it back. If it needs more salt, well, that's your problem.
But an agent is different.
Yeah, an agent is a chef who actually tastes the soup, realizes it's bland, adds the salt, and then tastes it again before ever bringing it to your table.
And that tasting process, that's what developers are calling the agent loop, right?
Spot on. To stop playing ping pong, you have to understand the mechanics of this loop. Chat models are just question to answer. Agents are goal to result.
Okay, so how does the engine actually turn over to get that result?
It uses a continuous 3-step cycle. Observe, think, and act.
Okay, observe, think, act. The source material used this really good example that I think illustrates this perfectly. The expert gave an agent a single high-level goal, which was just build a minimalist portfolio site for Greg Eisenberg.
Right, and if you gave that to a traditional cloud-based model, it would just spit out a long block of generic HTML code.
Maybe write Greg Eisenberg at the very top if you're lucky.
Yeah, and then leave you to figure out how to actually host it or make it look good. But the agent starts that loop instead. First, it enters the observe phase.
So what does it actually observe?
Well, it scans the prompt and realizes, wait, I lack information here. I don't actually know who Greg Eisenberg is.
Oh, so instead of just hallucinating something.
Exactly. Rather than making it up, it autonomously connects to a search tool like Perplexity and pulls in his real-world biography and his company history.
That's the observe phase.
Right. Then it moves to the think phase. It digests all that search data and synthesizes a literal project plan. It decides on the layout, the colors, the necessary sections for the portfolio.
And then comes the act phase, which is where I think the mechanics get super fascinating.
Yeah, because it doesn't just type out code into a chat window. It actually writes the HTML files directly to your local hard drive.
Which is wild.
And then it executes a command to spin up a local web server to host it. But here's the kicker. It doesn't stop there.
It loops back around.
Yes.
Yeah.
It loops back to the observe phase. It opens a hidden web browser, loads the site it just built, and uses a vision model to take a literal screenshot of its own work.
Wow. So it's basically acting as both the employee and the manager.
Exactly. The vision model critiques that screenshot. If the text is overlapping or, the colors clash, it flags that as an error.
And then feeds that error back into its own prompt window.
Yep, as a new command. And it rewrites the code to fix it. It iterates until the visual result actually matches the standard of a minimalist portfolio site.
To make that self-prompting loop happen, the masterclass outlines 4 critical components.
Right? 4 main pieces. First, you have the LLM, which is the foundational brain, like Claude Opus or a GPT model.
Okay.
Second, you have that continuous observe, think, act loop. Third, you have connected tools, which give the AI access to search the web or write files.
And the 4th one?
Context. That's what tells the agent who you are and what your standards are. And all 4 of these components are housed inside a piece of software called an agent harness.
An agent harness. What does that actually look like?
They're applications you install directly on your computer. Programs like Claude Code, Codex, Manus, Anti-Gravity, or OpenClaw.
Okay, I have to say it sounds incredibly intimidating when you list out all those different
It
applications.
sounds like a lot of jargon, yeah.
But really, this is just like learning to drive a car. Once you understand the underlying mechanics, how the steering wheel turns the tires, what the brake pedal does, you can hop into any agent harness.
That's a great analogy.
Right, you might be driving a Toyota or a Range Rover, but the core concepts of the LLM, the loop, the tools, and the context, they remain totally identical.
Exactly. But managing those core concepts introduces a completely different way of interacting with the machine.
Because these loops are so autonomous.
Right.
Which leads me to a big question. If they're running on their own, how do we keep them from completely going off the rails or, totally misunderstanding our business?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer is that we have to stop obsessing over prompt engineering.
Okay, wait, really?
Yeah. The era of searching for that magical 500-word paragraph that tricks the AI into giving you the perfect output that's ending, we're replacing it with what they call context engineering.
Context engineering.
You're no longer commanding a generalized tool, you are onboarding a specialized digital employee.
Right, because if you hired a human executive assistant, you wouldn't walk up to them on their very first day, hand them a sticky note that says, write a cold email, and expect a masterpiece.
Exactly. They don't know your business model. They don't know your target demographic. They don't know your brand voice. You have to give them the company handbook.
And in the context of an agent harness, that handbook is a system prompt file, right?
Yes. The video shows this as just a simple text document, usually saved as agents.md, sitting in a folder on your computer.
So what exactly goes into that agents.md file?
It front-loads all the overarching rules.
Mm.
It tells the agent its specific role, the tone of voice you prefer, and the software ecosystem you use. And because that file is sitting in the background, anchoring every interaction, your actual daily prompts become stupidly simple.
So I really could just type, write me a cold email.
You really can. The agent instantly references the markdown file, pulls your entire business model into its working memory, and produces an email that sounds exactly like you wrote it.
That's amazing. But relying on these local specialized agents introduces a really unique problem that you don't really see with standard consumer chatbots, right? The amnesia problem.
Oh, yeah. The amnesia problem is real. So consumer models in the cloud use auto memory. They drag every conversation you've ever had into the background of your current chat.
Which feels convenient at first.
It feels convenient, but it introduces massive hallucination risks. You ask it to write a financial report, and it subtly weaves in language from, the relationship advice you asked it for 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, it all just blends together into mud.
Exactly. Local agents, though, are designed to be pristine blank slates every single time you open a new session, relying only on that agents.md file.
The expert in the video demonstrated this perfectly. He showed that if you tell your local agent, my favorite color is lavender, it will use lavender for that specific project.
Right.
But if you close a window, open a brand new session, and ask, what's my favorite color? It will have absolutely no idea. It totally resets.
Which is great for preventing that blending of unrelated projects, but it creates a massive workflow bottleneck.
How so?
Well, say you prefer to sign off your emails with warm regards, but the base model is trained to say, cheers. It's going to write cheers every single day unless you tell it otherwise, every single day.
Okay, wait. If the whole point of this technology is total automation, but I have to constantly open a text file and manually type out a new rule every time the AI uses a phrase I don't like, isn't that just as tedious as prompt engineering?
It would be a total nightmare. But the expert revealed this incredibly clever structural workaround that turns the agent into a self-improving system.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't update the memory file manually. You create a second text file called memory.m-md.
okay.
Then you put a master instruction into your main agents file that basically says, whenever I correct your behavior or you deduce a new preference about how I work, you must autonomously open the memory.md file and rewrite your own rules to include this new information.
Wait. You are telling the AI to go into my computer's file system, open its own core programming document, and change its own rules.
Mhm.
Is it actually allowed to do that?
Yes. The agent harness gives it that exact permission, but restricted only to that specific memory file.
That's crazy.
So when you tell the agent, hey, never use the word cheers again, it acknowledges the command, opens the memory file in the background, adds a permanent rule against using cheers, and saves the file.
Oh, wow. The compounding effect of that is wild to think about.
Mhm.
Over a few months, as you just naturally correct its tiny mistakes, those errors would basically drop to zero.
Exactly. You end up with an assistant whose operating parameters are flawlessly mapped to your brain.
But a perfect brain is still useless if it's, trapped in a jar.
True.
Having perfect memory and context doesn't really matter if the agent can't actually execute tasks within the software you use to run your life. Knowing things isn't enough. It needs hands and feet.
And that brings us to the technology that actually lets the AI reach out and touch your apps. MCP, or the Model Context Protocol. Anthropic recently released this, and it is a massive foundational shift.
Why is it such a big deal? What was happening before MCP?
Before MCP, getting an AI to interact with external software required really complex, fragile custom code. Every application on your computer essentially speaks a different API language.
Okay, so like Notion speaks Spanish, Gmail speaks French, Slack speaks Chinese.
Exactly. And to get an English-speaking LLM to talk to them meant building individual translation layers for every single app. MCP acts as the universal translator.
It's like buying a universal power adapter before you go backpacking across Europe.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
You don't need to rewire the hotel room to charge your phone. You just plug the adapter into the wall and the electricity flows. Suddenly, your LLM can plug right into any software without needing custom code.
And the multi-tool workflow they demonstrated in the masterclass illustrates just how powerful this universal connection is. We can actually revisit that summarize my inbox example from earlier.
Right, where you're just sitting in a single command window and you type those 3 words.
The agent uses MCP to securely access the Gmail application. It spots a new email from a client asking for a proposal based on their last meeting.
And it parses the client's name. Let's say the client's name is Maltoshi.
The agent recognizes that it needs the context of that specific meeting, so it autonomously pivots away from Gmail and uses MCP to reach into Granola.
Granola being a totally separate app where the user stores their raw meeting transcripts.
Right. It pulls the specific transcript from Altoshi, reads the notes to understand the deliverables discussed, and then drafts a highly personalized proposal embed.
But the workflow requires payment up front.
Exactly. So the agent connects to Stripe, generates a custom secure payment link for the agreed amount, embeds it into the email draft, and sets the email up for review.
And then finally, it reaches into Notion, creates a new project board from Altoshi with the deliverables mapped out, and just waits for your approval, all triggered by 3 words.
All autonomously.
But, I mean, anytime we talk about an AI having the ability to generate live payment links or read private emails, the immediate reaction for most people is just panic.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, am I really just handing an autonomous, self-prompting robot the keys to my bank account and my ad budgets?
Security is the primary concern when building agents, obviously, and the source addresses it through the concept of scoping.
Scoping, meaning what exactly?
Meaning you are never giving the agent God mode over your operating system. The agent harness allows you to explicitly scope the permissions for every tool it touches.
Okay, so you can mandate read-only access for certain things.
Precisely. You might authorize the agent to read your Google Calendar so it knows your schedule, but explicitly deny it the permission to create or delete events.
Oh, I see.
Or you can allow it to draft emails in Gmail, but structurally prohibit it from ever hitting the send button without a human physically clicking approve.
Got it.
These major foundational harnesses are built with enterprise-grade security infrastructure. So the environment is secure as long as the user is intentional about what doors they actually unlock.
Okay, so we have an AI that knows exactly who we are through context files, remembers our preferences through a self-updating memory file, and can securely manipulate our software stack through MCP.
It's a powerful setup.
But a human employee who has a computer and knows your name still doesn't know how to do the actual job until you train them on the specific processes of your business.
Right. Exactly. If you ask an agent to create a complex monthly analytics report, I mean, it might figure it out eventually by fumbling through your tools, but it will be highly inefficient.
Right.
And next month, it's going to have to figure it out from scratch all over again. You need to standardize its behavior.
And you do that by building skills. The masterclass defines skills basically as standard operating procedures, SOPs for AI.
Yeah, AI SOPs. It's a file that explains a multi-step process perfectly once, allowing you to invoke that entire process with a single command forever.
And the barrier to creating these skills has practically vanished. You don't have to code them anymore, do you?
Not at all. There are two main ways to build them now. The first is you can literally just perform a task manually alongside the AI.
Like guiding it through formatting a proposal.
Exactly. Tweaking the pricing blocks, adjusting the colors, and when it's perfect, you just instruct the AI skill creator to package that entire sequence into a new skill file that basically writes its own SOP.
That's incredibly easy. But the second method they showcased is even more striking. You can synthesize skills entirely from external knowledge.
Oh, this was brilliant.
Yeah. The expert in the video uploaded a massive text transcript from a digital course he took on creating viral hooks for social media.
He just dropped the transcript into the harness.
Right, and he just said, build a skill out of the frameworks taught in this document.
And instantly, he has an agent that perfectly replicates the exact logic, the formatting, and the psychological triggers taught by the instructor of that course, available on command.
It's basically downloading a whole new capability into the agent's brain.
Yeah.
And the examples they walk through range from tiny micro-automations to massive analytical tasks.
Yeah, they showed a micro skill called the Sebastian Refer skill.
Right, designed to do one hyper-specific thing.
Exactly. It autonomously drafts a warm, highly contextualized introduction email, connecting a new prospect to a friend who runs an AI agency.
Writing a good referral email like that requires looking up the prospect's background, finding the friend's current portfolio, blending them together nicely. That takes a human maybe 15 minutes of solid focus.
The skill executes it flawlessly in seconds.
But the heavier example, the one that really illustrates the scale of this whole thing, was the meta ads analyst skill.
This one was crazy.
Right. The expert invokes the skill and hands the agent a single piece of information, a URL for the Facebook ads library of a major brand, like Udemy.
And the agent initiates its loop and just goes to work. It autonomously navigates to the URL and systematically scrapes 220 different active advertisements.
And it doesn't just pull the text either. It takes screenshots of the visual creatives. It clicks through the ads, lands on the destination websites, and takes screenshots of those landing pages too.
And then it uses its vision models to analyze the relationship between the ad copy, the visual design, and the landing page offer for every single one of those 220 campaigns.
It synthesizes all of that visual and textual data into a master report, identifying macro trends, successful hooks, and areas where the competitor's funnel is weak.
I mean, this is a task that would require a human media buyer to spend 4 or 5 hours engaged in just mind-numbing, repetitive clicking and taking notes.
And the agent handles it perfectly while you go make a sandwich.
Yeah. And to keep the agent's context window from getting overloaded with all these different SOPs, you organize them logically.
Global versus project level skills.
Exactly. You have global skills, like a command to truncate text, which the agent can access anytime. And then you have project level skills, like the Sebastian Refer skill, which only load into the agent's brain when you are specifically working in your marketing folder.
So the organizational structure ensures the agent remains lightning fast and focused only on the tools relevant to whatever you're doing right then. Look, I have to play the skeptic for a moment here.
Go for it.
Are we just trading one form of busy work for another? I mean, instead of typing emails, now I'm managing markdown files, configuring permissions, curating folders, testing skills. What is the actual tangible endgame of stacking up all these little 15-minute automations?
It definitely feels like administrative overhead at first, but the endgame is governed by the mathematics of compounding time. The expert in the source material pointed out that if you automate just 3 to 5 tiny manual processes each week, they never return to your plate.
Because the skill executes them perfectly forever.
Yes. You spend an hour on a Tuesday building a skill that automates a 15-minute daily task. By Friday, you've broken even on your time investment.
Wow.
Over the course of a year, you haven't just saved a few hours here and there. You have entirely automated the equivalent of whole departments. You reach a critical mass where you are literally fitting a traditional 40-hour week of administrative and analytical labor into a single afternoon.
And that compounding math leads directly into the grand vision of where this technology is heading. The AIOS, or AI operating system.
Yeah, the AIOS is the culmination of everything discussed in the masterclass. It's what happens when you combine your context files, your compounding memory, your secure MCP tool connections, and your specialized skills.
And you move them from manual triggers to scheduled automated workflows. You basically stop typing commands entirely. The system just runs in the background of your life.
Like the car scraper example they used.
Yes, the host used a deeply practical example.
Yeah.
He's trying to buy a very specific, rare car. Normally, he'd be refreshing auto marketplace websites every few hours.
Which is tedious.
Super tedious. Instead, he built a car scraper skill and simply scheduled it to execute autonomously every 3 hours, analyze the new listings, and ping his phone only if a match appears.
And on a professional level, imagine scheduling a 9 a.m. daily brief skill. Every morning before you even open your laptop, the agent wakes up.
It reads your calendar through an MCP connection.
Yep. It sees who you are meeting with that day. It triggers a research skill to deep dive into the backgrounds, recent company news, and social feeds of those specific individuals.
And then it compiles a comprehensive briefing document and drops it right into your inbox. By the time you sit down with your coffee, the legwork is done. Your only job is to review the intelligence and make the human decisions.
So for you listening, the immediate takeaway here is to identify your own friction points.
Right. Look at the repetitive jobs to be done in your workflow this week. What are the emails you send every time a project closes? What data do you pull every Monday morning?
Map out the exact steps you take, because those steps are the blueprint for your first AI skills. The landscape of knowledge work is shifting underneath us.
It really is.
By understanding how to harness the agent loop, engineer proper context, and build reliable skills, you fundamentally remove yourself as the bottleneck in your own professional output.
And that actually leads to a really fascinating, somewhat provocative thought about the future workforce, which the masterclass touches on at the end.
Oh, the 100x employee concept.
Yes, we're looking at the imminent rise of what they call the 100x employee. This is an individual who shows up on day one of a new job, not just with their experience, but bringing their own pre-existing, finely tuned AI operating system with them.
It changes the entire paradigm of hiring. I mean, if everyone